Thanks for staying up later. Jim Carrey is with us tonight. He's one of the mainstays of Fox TV's In Living Color, seen around the country on Sunday nights. Which character, when people run into you in a restaurant or bump into you on the street, which character do they most often ask about or make reference to?
Actually, they ask me not to do them, if it's possible. Well, I always get, I followed around supermarkets a lot, by teenagers going, "Come on, man, don't you love what you do?" That kind of stuff.
The cherub of justice?
That face you do, man. Yeah, the cherub of justice or the Fire Marshal Bill, is a popular one. They just told me to do a dead guy one day, and I went like that, and it became Fire Marshal Bill. It was actually, it started out as the Make a Death Wish Foundation.
Right.
And it was a posthumous wish to go to an amusement park. And I was going to be the kid on all the rides, like, just kind of doing that kind of thing. But that didn't pass censor, so we weaseled it another direction.
How much doesn't get past the censor on In Living Color? Because, relatively speaking, it's pretty far out on the edge.
Yeah, I'm always amazed what does get on, but it's pretty random. I never know from one minute to the next what they're going to do. It's too many cups of coffee one day, and he won't let you say bum or something, But it's amazing what gets on the air. It's, I guess, about 20% of it, there's no way it'll ever get on, because I think there was one character, we get some really psychotic moments up in the writing room, and one of the characters was a guy that performs at Right to Life rallies, and with a little finger puppet fetus, and
that didn't make it?
That didn't make it, oddly enough.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know.
What's the funniest thing that, in your mind, was legitimate and funny that got cut out?
Oh, the time I showed my penis.
Well, again, I'm
do some
surprised.
funny things with that.
Again, I'm surprised.
Yeah. No, gosh, I don't know. Most of the funniest stuff gets on, because we write, twice as much as we have to write. We'll write some really weird stuff so that the not so weird stuff will get on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is actually weird.
What's gotten the most negative reaction?
Well, I guess Fire Marshal Bill. Fire Marshal Bill, the fire marshals in New Jersey were up in arms. Apparently somebody went into a classroom to teach fire safety tips, and the children started laughing in their face, and stuff like this, and they weren't just not ready for that. And Fire Marshal Bill, do the thing with your face, that kind of thing.
And his lovely wife Ashley.
Right, and their son, what was it? The dog Sparky, and the son Blaze, who's constantly in the garage just playing with a science set, just on the edge, ready to explode at any moment.
Has Chuck Woolery crossed paths with you? Has he commented about your take on
Well, I heard
him?
he was on this show, and
he was. He told me he liked it.
Yeah. That's pretty abnormal, actually. Usually people don't like when I do them.
When you do a character, like a guy like Woolery, you pretty much had him, and anything that was in there that wasn't exactly him was an exaggeration of something that everybody could see. But usually, is it part something which is an impression and part something which you just drew out of thin air?
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll go and I'll look at a tape and I'll actually try to do an impression, but most of the time I don't care, and they just seem to turn out good sometimes. But I got to a period one time where I so didn't care about the impression that I would just literally, if somebody said do an impression of John Wayne, it would be, and then I work from there.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah, basically.
Well,
and that's my information to the young kids coming up who want to do the art of impressions, basically. Anybody I can do.
How much of what you do involves a target, where you say to yourself, I have this capability, and here's somebody I'd really like to skewer, and how much of it is just, I'm looking to be funny and not necessarily at anybody's expense?
I'd say 80% of it is just looking to be funny. But every once in a while, like there's a piece I do in my Showtime special about guns, and how you really shouldn't have one in your car because your impulse is to go for it. Just you get evil when you're in your car. And just the idea that, that somebody can get an automatic weapon in this country is just mind-boggling to me. I just don't understand it. I mean, I understand personal protection and all that, but, when you start building a moat and, you know, all that, it just doesn't make sense to me anymore.
And the
when you
founding
have the power
fathers,
to kill like 100 people at a shot, it just, I can't see that many people attacking you at any one time.
I think the founding fathers, with the idea of people living on a farm someplace in Virginia, and the possibility that the state might come and take their muskets, that's a little bit different than some guy with an AK-47
or something, you know. You know, just blast it into the air. But this is like, yeah, even semi-automatics. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
When you do a guy like Vanilla Ice, though, I mean, not only is it funny, but it's also a well-deserved kick in the ass for this guy, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, in fact, before we did that, yeah, we were just going full guns. We were going, oh, yeah, I want to get this guy bad, you know. And then we saw the Arsenio Hall interview where Arsenio interviewed Vanilla Ice and basically tried to torpedo his whole career that one night, you know. And it turned around. It looked so awful, you know. We actually started feeling for Vanilla Ice, oddly enough. You know, we were sitting there going, the poor guy. Oh, that poor white kid, you know. And we actually called him. Keenan called him and said, "Look, you know, we do what we do, so we're gonna slam you, you know, because that's what we do. So, but don't take it too personally. We think, you know, we thought he was a little out of line there and whatever. So he's taken a lot of shots. It's really not his fault that the society is the way it is. You know, that a white kid could do so much better with, you know, something that is, you know, kind of not as good quality as the mainstream black stuff, but it's marketable.
He doesn't seem to have much of a sense of humor about it, though. You know, he seems to take himself pretty darn seriously.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have no retort. I mean, I don't really follow him that closely, but all I see is when he performs, and I just see kind of a standard kind of not performance, because he can dance, but just the ideas in his songs. There's nothing original. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I think Ninja Turtles 2 is pretty much the pinnacle.
That was big for him.
Yeah.
How mainstream?
Go Ninja, go Turtles.
How mainstream do you think In Living Color is?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't know whether I'm just sheltered. I don't know. All I know is I have a house now, and I have fun doing my work, you know. But I mean, I'm recognized everywhere I go now, and it's a good feeling. But I don't know how mainstream it is. I don't know how mainstream it can be on Fox. You know, it just doesn't get out to as many people. But certainly everybody knows about it.
I'm living to the Chinese. Hot potato. Fish tickling, hot fancy. Speak up, I can't hear you. Here on this mountain top, I got some wild, wild nights. I got some news to tell about some wild, wild nights. Here comes the doctor in charge. She's got some wild, wild nights, and I know I like it. Living wild, wild.
Back now with Jim Carrey, whose Showtime special, Jim Carrey's Unnatural Act, premieres on November 17th and continues into the month of December. How much different is your stand-up act, your persona in your stand-up act, than what people see when you're a sketch player?
Well, it's still pretty animated, but it's more. See, I never did sketch comedy before I started doing stand-up, and I never did characters, and I never did any of that stuff. So I was, you know, just kind of making it up as I went along, and I still am, you know, hoping I'll see somebody on, you know, on a bus or something.
Yeah.
And but the stand-up is more kind of what goes on inside my head, and I guess everybody's head, like people's impulses, things like that. That, you know, when you stand up on, when you're on a balcony and you think, you know, if I pushed off far enough, I could hit the pool, kind of thing. Those kind of things have always fascinated me, you know. And just like, well, maybe we should move inside, you know. Why you stop yourself, because you're so close sometimes. You know, you'll find yourself in the fast lane of a freeway and the cement breaker is right there, and you're just going, you know, it's right there. I'm so close, you know. And it's somehow you hang on.
What was your early stand-up career like? Were you good at it right off the bat, or?
First time I went down, my father took me to Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club in Toronto, and it was 2 lanes of a bowling alley, and they had an elaborate sound system set up where they could shift the lights, and they'd start playing little snippets of Jesus Christ Superstar and crucify him, crucify him, crucify him, like that kind of stuff.
It's a good prelude to comedy.
Oh yeah, yeah, it gets you ready, And I went up there with a polyester suit on and started doing tributes to people, you know, and I soon found, you know, felt the sting, the comedy scorpion sting, and I didn't go back for 2 years. That was when I was 15. I was working in factories and stuff, and I went back 2 years later. I got my guts up again and went back, and it was a whole different story. That seems to be the way it happens for me, constantly. I blow it the first time, and then I come back strong, you know? It's always been that way for me.
What do you like if you bomb? Let's say it's a bad set on a given night, and it just doesn't work, and the audience isn't reacting. What do you like?
If I bomb like nobody bombs on Earth. I take it out. I mean, I've had nights at the Comedy Store where I just you know, had the wrong attitude going in, and you know, the audience picks up on it right away, and then it gets to the point where it's you know, I'm saying, you don't understand, this means nothing to me. I'm not going to leave here until everyone in the room is emotionally crippled by this experience, you know, and that kind of thing. And I've crawled into the piano a couple of nights and stayed there for everyone else's act. Or I remember one night staying on for 45 minutes and then getting off to applause and standing O's, just get off! Because I was just in one of my creative moods where, you know, I'll just throw my act out and get up there and go, yeah! You know, and just try to come up with some weirdness. And
have you ever had somebody confront you? Somebody come out of the audience or heckle you so viciously that it almost
yeah,
became
I've been
a
up on a
confrontation?
couple of tables, you know, going, come on! You know, that kind of stuff. But I'm an actor, so I can pull it off sometimes.
Do you ever get to a point where you really don't care, and so then you can take every chance in the world, or is that always just a way to cover up how much you do care? I can see I've struck a nerve. It's
Yeah.
a deeply penetrating question.
Yeah. No, no, some nights I really don't care. And then, and then it'll switch. I mean, I think I don't care at the beginning, and at the end, I'll go home, you know, blubbering in the car, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm married. Honey? You know, hi, world, how are you? Oh, baby. You know, that kind of thing.
You were on a TV show that I think was an MTM production, right? The Duck Factory?
Yes.
Now, I have to admit,
I had to bring it up, didn't you?
I only vaguely remember this,
Boy, you
this
really
Duck
do your
Factory.
research.
I only vaguely remember it. But it apparently had a good time slot.
It was a good time slot. Everything was right. The planets were in line. Didn't happen, man.
When was it on? Thursday
I
night?
wasn't that disappointed, though. I really wasn't. I wasn't expecting it to go. I never really expect anything to be a hit, you know, so I don't set myself up for too much disappointment. This show is a great surprise, you know. I went at it, and I worked, and that's it, you know.
What was the premise of this Duck Factory thing?
Well, I was a cartoonist from Minnesota who comes to Hollywood and brings magic and innocence and basically is thrown into the middle of all these crazy, wacky people. And then after 13 shows, they realized that I should have been the crazy, wacky people and wanted to start writing me that way, except they didn't have a time slot anymore.
Yeah.
Or
The time
show.
slot was like in between Cheers and...
Cheers and Hill Street Blues.
So-
Pretty solid going in.
So by accident, especially if you happen to come into homes where they had no remote control, by accident you should have gotten a big number, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
Yeah,
it
where
didn't
they were
happen.
just lazy on the clicker. To this day, I mean, I have a thing about if somebody tells you you got something, it's gone. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear I've got something. You know, I've lost so many projects when I've run into the the executive that I know personally in the bathroom, and he's it's wrapped up, baby. Take it to the bank and cash it, you know. You can just, bye.
What do you got coming up next, though? There is a movie sometime in the near future,
It's
isn't
none
it?
of your damn business.
All right, fine. I didn't mean to be so
No,
inquisitive.
I just did a film for Fox Television, and it was directed by Ken Olin. It's called Doing Time on Maple Drive, and it's a dramatic film. And, you know, Ken at this point is just hoping I don't go, it's stupid, you know, or just act silly.
It
or
is a
something
dramatic...
like
You don't do anything comic in this?
that. Nothing comic in this. No, this is the ugly side.
What kind of character
No,
are you?
I'm actually, it's a really, I learned a big respect for dramatic acting, for the art of it, because it really is tapping into something you don't want to sit with too long. You know what I mean? I mean, I'd go home some nights just kind of just devastated because I had to be the miserable guy all day, you know, the vulnerable guy all day, and it was interesting. It was eye-opening for me.
So just how unnatural is your Unnatural Act on Showtime?
Gosh, wow. I want to throw myself out that window, but I'm not going to do it.
No, go ahead. You can exit that way. No
Can
one
I?
has. It'll be a first. Jump right
Would
over
it?
the desk and just get out of here.
Okay. Damn it. I'm going. I'm gone. I'm out of here.
He's been badly hurt.
There's a screen! There's a screen!
Just break through it.
I can't!
What do you mean you can't?
Look, just end on this. Look! Shot of my butt.
Now get out. See you later.